All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. First and foremost, Merry Christmas to you guys. Hopefully you had a good holiday or are having a good holiday. Gonna be breaking down the 5-game Christmas slate that we have for both PrizePicks and Underdog. Let's go ahead and get into it. So starting with the first game, we got the Bucks versus the Knicks. This is gonna be a 3.5 point spread, 240 for the over and under. Looking at it, the issue that I had, like in terms of trying to give out prop bets before the Christmas Day slate, say Friday or Thursday, is that we had a lot of random injuries popping up, and it was just tough to say like whether or not certain players were going to play or not, because it did seem like they're going to try to rest up to be healthy for the Christmas Day slate. And I think that's what we're going to see. That's what this initial report is telling us as well. Basically, everyone that can play is going to play in this game. So all in all, it should be a fun game to break down. Now, I do want to start off with showing you guys that right now, some of the best prop bets that we are getting on Underdog are going to be from this game. Now, it does suck. I'm recording this video much earlier than normal, like literally a day before the games are going to go live. And so these prop bets that we are currently getting are probably going to get bumped on Underdog. By all means, if they're not, take advantage of these. So first and foremost, looking at this one, like Brook Lopez, points, rebounds, and assists, we can see PrizePicks has already bumped this to 19.5. So again, that's kind of going to be the difficult part of this video. By all means, if these props are still available, hammer them. They should be good prop bets for you. But yeah, let's go ahead and break down this game in full. So these two teams just met literally in their last game. Damian Lillard had a good game. His fantasy score prop line was set at 40. He got 40.3, kind of a lucky break there, but all in all, it was the correct move. Had himself a really good game, rebounds, assist wise, 19 points in that game. They ended up blowing out the Knicks. That is kind of my concern, is that they blew out the Knicks. And if we look at the game logs from them, blew them out in their previous game before that. And then their first game was a close game, but that wasn't kind of the Bucks team that we are currently seeing. The Bucks team that we are currently seeing is gelling together very well. So he had himself a good game, kind of as expected. Didn't exactly even shoot the basketball well. We look at Chris Middleton. Again, we are getting some good props for him for rebounds and assists specifically. 33 minutes in that game. And the thing with Chris Middleton is his minutes have been limited. The fact that he played 33 minutes in that game tells me that he's going to play probably 5 minutes in this game against a Christmas game. If you can play your players' minutes, you're going to. This is kind of like the in-season tournament, if you will, where we did see players like Middleton kind of get some extended run in there really before maybe they were comfortable doing that, because they were trying to win. Teams are going to try to win this game. And so even if we look at his game log against the Knicks in their previous games, really high rebounds, really high assists. Again, really high rebounds, really high assists. So yeah, this line that we're getting at 8.5 rebounds and assists should be one that we are hammering home. Heck, if it's at 9, I could still see the potential to be betting that one as well. And guys, for what it's worth, I just want to mention this in passing. If these prop bets specifically for NBA ever do get bumped, try to come over to DraftKings Pick 6 on the NBA tab and see if it's still available, because their lines do not change once they're posted. Okay, so like let's say this Brook Lopez one gets bumped on Underdog as well, and we can't take advantage of that. Just take a peek to see if it's available on the DraftKings Pick 6 at 18.5, because then it'd still be a good bet. But yeah, looking at these other ones, let's take a peek at Giannis. Let's take a peek at Brook. So Giannis just typically does play well against the Knicks. It's just the thing. 28 points in that last game. Did have 5 turnovers. Did have 7 rebounds. Did have 7 assists. Not exactly the best game, but again, only played 32 minutes. That game was a blowout. That's my biggest concern, is that the point spread for this game is not going to be right. And it is Christmas. I do expect Giannis and Dame to really step up and have a high usage rate. At the same time, I don't know. I kind of expect everyone to play well. Brook Lopez does get a more difficult matchup on paper, but I want to point out that is with Mitchell Robinson being there. Now, I'm not saying that him being in or out is a big mover, because we did see Brook Lopez had a terrible game last game, 1 for 7. At the same time, that's kind of part of the appeal with Brook Lopez, is that he had a poor night shooting last night. Typically speaking, guys that are not statistically bad shooters coming in off of a poor night, I typically like to target them in the next night. And guys, just for what it's worth, I think Curry's a perfect example of kind of what I mean by that. I'll just show it real quick. The game against this game against Portland had a terrible night shooting, and so the next night I'm like, yeah, we need to load up on Curry, because the chances of him having 2 poor nights in a row shooting are just not likely, and he went off for 33 points in that one. So that's kind of to my point. I just want to show that to you guys. And then just sorting the PrizePicks cheat sheet by Milwaukee Bucks players right now, we can see the board is going to be a little bit thin there. Dame Lillard under 2.5 turnovers is certainly interesting, simply due to the fact that he did have 3 turnovers in the last game, 3 turnovers in the previous game. So it's definitely interesting to me. I don't know if that's one I want to go in on. Again, that one only has a 53% likely to hit. It's not like we need to go in on that. Giannis, if he, I do expect him to have a good game, kind of a Christmas Day game. I expect him to have a good game. And so honestly, if I was going to do the points at 31.5, I might as well just do the points, rebounds, and assists. It would not be shocking for me to see him have close to a triple double in this game. I don't mind that. And then from there, we can see the board's kind of tight for the Bucks. So I do want to take a peek at underdog as well. I'm going to be doing both. And so yeah, right now looking at the Bucks, we are seeing again Chris Middleton a good one, Giannis over rebounds a good one at 10.5. That kind of echoes to my point of, you know, if we wanted to bet the over 31.5 points, we might as well just do points, rebounds, and assists. Brook Lopez again a good one there. We are seeing that this is another one that got bumped, points and assist for Brook Lopez. So basically underdog is only giving him 1 assist. We can see PrizePicks has already bumped this up to 14. All in all, you know, again, if this game stays close, I do think there's a good chance for him to get that over. We can see another one. Underdog is currently a little bit slower to respond to the lines than is PrizePicks. So look first on Underdog, and I should just let me call this out. Like, if you guys are going to make some prop bets on Underdog and you haven't signed up before, this is a good way to support the channel and also your bankroll. Use the promo code 905 to get 100% match on deposit of $200. I kind of hate doing those promo codes, but at the same time, it does help out the channel, so I do appreciate it. But looking at it, yeah, it does seem to be a much better day on Underdog right now. But let's go ahead and move on into the New York Knicks. So looking at the Knicks, again, we are getting some good prop bets for them. The 2 best ones are going to be Jalen Brunson over rebounds and Julius Randle over rebounds. Those are literally the 2 best prop bets that we are currently getting, and I'm kind of okay with both of them. Okay, so looking at it, sure, in the last game against the Bucks, Jalen Brunson only had 3 rebounds, did play 37 minutes, so that's going to be encouraging. Look at the last game against them. After that, 3 rebounds and then 5 rebounds. So kind of, you look at his averages, should be able to get there. He does average 4 rebounds on the season. So all in all, another rebound falling his way against the Bucks probably is more likely than not. And so all in all, I'm perfectly fine betting that one. Maybe be a little bit too thin, but the data likes it. And so more times than not, I'm trusting the data. That's what I'm going to do here. We see Randall's rebounds as well at 8.5 is going to be one that we should be touching as well. Again, only 8 rebounds in that game. He is someone that would get a little bit more run in this game if it is only a 3-point spread, if this game is not a blowout like it has been the last 2 times. And so he had 6 rebounds in that game. Again, I think that's going to be part of the reason as to why this game stays close. If someone like Julius Randle is getting a bunch of rebounds, it's kind of as simple as that. So honestly, guys, if you are hearing these prop bets and you're like, I don't like, go to DraftKings Sportsbook, go to FanDuel, bet the Bucks to win by more than they're projected to win by, which is like 3.5 points. From there, Jalen Brunson, points, rebounds, and assists, and also Julius Randle, points, rebounds, and assists. Also want to take a peek at RJ Barrett, points and rebounds. Okay, those are really the 3 players that we want to be concentrating on New York anyways. And so let's just go ahead and take a peek at those 3 just in general. And so Julius Randle's line is going to be the same on both sides. So just looking at it right now, we can see his points, rebounds, and assists. He has not been, he's been close to getting the over, just hasn't been able to do it lately. Again, what we would be betting on specifically here is him to get 3 more minutes in this game if you want to bet the over. All in all, this probably feels a little bit too thin to me. All in all, that probably feels like we'd be forcing it. The other one that I actually like a little bit better is going to be Jalen Brunson for over points, rebounds, and assists. Guards against Milwaukee has been a thing thus far this season. And although I do think that they are slowly getting better, I do still think that there's an edge. So if we just look at points, we can see he had a really good game against the Bucks last time out. And again, his minutes should be secure. Then you look at the previous game against the Bucks, did do pretty well there as well. All in all, if we're getting 33 minutes out of him, I do like the over. Right now, Underdog is giving him a 53% likely for him to get over 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That is seemingly a good one. And let's take a peek at RJ Barrett. And I want to call it with RJ Barrett, guys, like his points and rebounds is at 21.5. He is very much like shot dependent. And so with that, we're seeing that his points, rebounds, and assists is only set at 24.5. So that to me should tell you guys just how shot dependent he is. And it's, if this game is going to stay close, again, this is kind of just betting on the game lines. Like the game lines aren't always right. We know that by now. But if it is right, it's going to be because RJ Barrett is having a good day shooting the basketball. It's going to be because RJ Barrett is going to be closer to his average than he has been. And so that would be really my bet. And if it is a closer game, he's going to be someone that gets closer to 33 minutes in this game. So I don't mind that idea. That being said, Dante DiVincenzo has been getting some good run because he has been playing well. Played well against the Bucks in the last game, 3 for 6 shooting the 3 ball. And he is someone that to me, they should be getting at least 20 in the 20s, mid 20 minutes for him. And so I kind of expect that to happen again. All right. So from there, guys, we're not getting as many prop bets as I would personally like. Again, I'm coming to this video or getting out with this video a little bit earlier than I typically would. Well, because it's the holidays, I don't know when I'll have free time next. I don't know if I'll exactly be able to do a video for you guys like tonight on this. Hopefully I can. This is going to be the preview video. Again, we're not getting prop bets for all these, which is a little bit surprising to me with the Warriors versus Nuggets, because we should, like, again, the players that we'd want to play are going to play. Like maybe Andrew Wiggins being out does shift so much, or some of the lines a decent amount. But all in all, we're not like too worried about Andrew Wiggins. Like he's been playing like 25 minutes or so and hasn't really been the best. Had a couple of good splash games. I'll call that out. But like Klay Thompson has been playing well. He's been shooting the basketball well. And so all in all, I do expect Klay to have a good game. I'm kind of hoping we get low lines on him. Like if Wiggins is out or active, again, that's not going to change the appeal for Klay really at all to me. he's going to get the 3-ball attempts up. I mean, he's averaging like 10, and especially since Draymond's been out, he's been averaging 10 3-ball attempts, been shooting the basketball a lot better. I think that'd be a good bet. That game is a pretty high over and under 233.5, 6-point spread. Don't love that. But all in all, it's the Warriors. I do expect the Warriors to come out and play well. Curry's lines are going to be interesting for sure. That game against Portland was a blowout. The game against Washington was a blowout. And so we haven't exactly seen him get to a high point total recently. And his lines, for the most part, recently have been at 28.5 or so. And he's been able to get that over kind of frequently when games stay close. And so given this matchup with Denver, I am expecting the line to be at basically 28. And then if it is, I think I will be betting the over there. Again, in the last game against Denver, only 23 points. Didn't exactly have the best game there. Don't love that, but again, I don't know, this Christmas, I'm probably buying into it a little bit, but players just want to play well on Christmas Day. It's kind of a proven thing. Do want to point out Pods has been playing well as well. He's the player that I think would benefit the most with Wiggins out. I said that on the previous video. That is exactly what happened. So if Wiggins is out again, I think we would be looking at Pods, and he didn't even have the best day shooting the basketball. 1 for 5 from 3. He's not the best 3-ball shooter for sure, but not terrible as well. So I'm expecting him to have a better game than he had. Now, he is someone that wasn't getting minutes earlier on in the season when they played Denver, but did do well in the limited minutes that he got, like 11 minutes, close game there, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 points. And I don't want to say like, yeah, let's times that out by for him to get 30 minutes and then you have a really good game. Like, you could do that. I think that's just a bad sample size, but all in all, I do expect him to have a good game as well. On the flip side of that, let's take a peek at Denver, guys. Denver is a team that obviously has been playing well. Jokic is a play that I do think is just going to crush. Now, he has been very hit or miss recently, okay? And it's tough to say, like, why that is. And it's weird. Him being hit or miss is still him, like, dominant. But all in all, the prop lines that we could be getting might be a little bit too thin. But I want to point out this matchup with Golden State is going to be an extremely appealing one. And so, again, if we're getting his lines at his averages or close to his averages, I would be crushing the overs because Golden State doesn't really have a big that can defend. If you're running Kuminga out, if you're running Looney out, which they're going to have to, Jokic should be able to feast. He should be able to, he honestly should get close to a triple-double in this game as well, as long as players are hitting the 3 balls. And look at this, guys. He went 1 for 8 from 3 and still had 35 points in that game. Like, Golden State just struggles against bigs, so I do expect Jokic to really have a good game. From there, the question becomes, which Denver player do we want to be on in terms of the big? Is it Aaron Gordon? Is it Michael Porter Jr.? For the most part, their prop lines have basically been the exact same. Now, Michael Porter Jr. has actually been playing more minutes recently as compared to Aaron Gordon, where, earlier on the season, Aaron Gordon was getting like 39 minutes or so, and then Michael Porter Jr. was only getting like 27 or so. No, they're being much more balanced now, where they're both getting about 30 minutes. And so, while Michael Porter Jr. has been producing a little bit more, Aaron Gordon's averages have kind of come down recently. So it's tough to say like what we should do prop line there because we don't have any lines, but I will say that's going to be intriguing. Do want to point out like KCP here, guys. KCP is someone fantasy score wise has been kind of a little bit of a sweet spot on some slates where he's popping up, and it's not one that you typically want to target. But if we're getting his fantasy score like 19.5 or even 18.5 or even 20, I think we could be betting the over, and that's simply going to be because of his likelihood to get multiple blocks and steals. And again, I don't mind the idea of game stacking this game. That's going to be something I'm probably doing for Christmas, is doing a lot of game stacks. You look at that game against Golden State earlier this year, 10 points in that game, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 block, no turnovers. So he would have got the over there if the line was set at 20 as well, because PrizePicks Underdog, they value a block and steal a little bit more. So certainly something there. And then let's just talk about Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, again, with it being a Christmas Day slate, I do expect him to get over his points averages. And if he's doing that, I think that's going to help Jokic get his over assist. He has been someone that has always been a little bit of an injury concern. All in all, he's good. He didn't play the first game against Golden State because of injuries, but all in all, good to go. I don't mind that. Let's move on into the next game, Boston versus the Lakers. Again, everyone, the reason why I'm having to break it down this way without having the lines is, well, because we don't have the lines, and I'm doing this video a little bit earlier to give you guys the coverage a little bit earlier. And for what it's worth, guys, I want to call it, like, I did this with Rudy Gobert and like the Timberwolves, where I said, if his lines are at 14.5 for his rebounds or his points, we want to be betting the over. And that's exactly where they came out to be. And hopefully people are able to hammer that home. Like, I can't control when the lines are going to come out. I can kind of give you guys an expectation of what the lines should be. And if they are lower than that, we can crush that. And that's why I feel that this is a good process to be going in on. And so looking at this game, it's probably going to be a fun game, right? Boston versus the Lakers, fun game. Everyone it should be active. I'm expecting Porzingis to play if he can. Now, if Porzingis sits, I'll touch on that, kind of what we're doing. But yeah, the Lakers, it's funny. Their whole injury report this whole season has been a laundry list, players being game time decisions when we fully know that they're going to play. No, they're giving us a normal injury reports. So that's good to see. Now, guys, again, I think Porzingis sat out on Saturday simply so that he would be more likely to play in the game against the Lakers for this Christmas game. But if he does sit, we know what to expect. Okay, so when Porzingis sits, we actually see like players like Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard get more minutes than they typically would. Now, that's not who we're banking on in terms of prop betting. Because all in all, their production is basically going to stay the same. They're just going to get a little bit more run. The players that do get the biggest bump are Al Horford and Derek White. Starting with Al Horford, minutes in the last game, only 27 minutes in that game against the Clippers. That game was a blowout. I kind of expect him to get a lot of run again if we get news that Porzingis is out. Even if he's active, again, this is a Christmas Day game. I kind of expect him to get some run in this game. Going against both LeBron and Anthony Davis, you're going to need another big out there with Porzingis anyways. And so he's someone that's probably going to have a good game regardless. But looking at his per 36 production, and I do think he will get 36 minutes, is 10 points, 10 rebounds, 4.6 assists, averages about 2 blocks and steals per 36. So 36 fantasy points per 36 with Porzingis off the court. So again, regardless, I think he's going to get 25 or so minutes if Porzingis is active. If he sits, Al Horford's prop lines probably are not going to be properly valued. He's going to be someone that does go off. Then from there, I do like Derek White still. Now, Derek White did not have the best game last game. He didn't exactly need to because other players were doing well. I mean, look at the point total, guys. That's part of the concern with games that are blowouts is that maybe one player gets hot and causes the game to blow out. You know, you can't really predict that. All in all, Derek White is someone that does get a big bump in usage with Porzingis off the court. About a 22% usage rate per 36 with him off the court. Looking at his per 36 production, averages 22.6 points, 4.1 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and averages a block and a steal, or actually averages 3 blocks and steals per 36, which is exactly what we have seen kind of the last 2 games. So on all those would be the 2 players that benefit the most. Now, yes, Jrue Holiday was the player that actually benefited the most last game. He had himself a great game, which is why Derek White did not have a good game. If you guys kind of want a game script on that, you could. Tatum's going to have his. I'm not too worried about Tatum. He's going to play well. And then Jaylen Brown, again, I'm not too worried about him. The players that get the biggest bump, though, Al Horford and also Derek White. If Porzingis is active, it does make that situation much more difficult to figure out. I do want to point out Anthony Davis and LeBron. Sure, their matchup's going to be a little bit more difficult in this game. At the same time, I do think that they're going to get heavy minutes. And we saw that in the playing game, guys, where they're getting 39, 40 minutes in that game. And I expect that to happen in this game as well. And to me, it's going to be tough for Vegas PrizePicks Underdog as well to really project him to get those minutes. And so if he is getting us 39 minutes, I think there's a healthy chance he gets over his averages slightly. And so we're probably going to be looking at fantasy score or points, rebounds, and assists for both LeBron and Anthony Davis. With that being said, they're the only players that we can trust. And again, LeBron has been getting heavy minutes as well. Again, if we're projecting them to get heavy minutes, they've been 2 players that Vegas has struggled with because you don't exactly know their minutes. And so again, I'm expecting heavy minutes for them. I'm expecting us to get some good prop lines on them. Reeves has been very efficient. If for some reason they're not going to sit, but I was going to say if Anthony Davis or LeBron sit, then Reeves is going to go off, but we don't need to concentrate on that. Reeves is fine, but you know, only playing 30 or so minutes, don't exactly need to go on that too much. All right, so getting to the next game, we got the Sixers versus the Heat, 1.5 point spread, 226, 227 for the over and under. Looking at the injury report, we actually are getting some prop bets for Miami. Now, again, guys, if these players can play, I kind of expect them to play. Now, Batum and also Melton have been out the last games, and then Embiid being a game time decision, we'll see. Jimmy Butler game time decision, again, I'm kind of expecting them to play. We'll go ahead and break it down for you guys. We are getting some Sixers props, so we'll start with that. And so yes, looking at the Sixers props, we are getting Embiid for over 11.5 rebounds. That's seemingly a good bet. And then Maxey under rebounds and assists at 10.5. I don't know if I exactly agree with that. I will say that this line for Maxey, 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists, is kind of intriguing to me. At the same time, we could just do points and rebounds there, but let's go and take a peek at both Maxey and Embiid as players. So looking at Maxey, I do like him because I think he gets the better of the matchups between Embiid and himself, and he is someone that literally once he started to get hype about like how good of a player he was, he kind of tailed off a little bit, but no, now he's been a little bit more consistent, been playing better as of recent. And so has this whole squad. Now, I will say, if Melton is out, I do think that slightly helps out Maxey a little bit because, those minutes might not be there as much. Now, he did participate in practice on Saturday, on Saturday. So I'm expecting him to play. Pat Bev, we're expecting him to play. But those 2 players, they're not going to eat into Maxey's minutes. Just maybe gets a slight bump in usage if one of those 2 sit. But all in all, we're not worried about that. All in all, I think the production is still still going to be there. All in all, like, again, I'm probably going to be running out game stacks in this game. I think a good game stack bet would be to bet him over points, rebounds, and assists, hoping that that game stays close. Like, all the lines are expected to stay close, so I don't mind doing that. Embiid, the best prop that we are seeing for him is the over rebounds at 11.5. Now the question is, do you want to run that out? We can see on the season he does average 11.7. And again, Christmas Day, I'm expecting him to get closer to 37 minutes in this game rather than 35. And it's funny, his production really depends on, like, his point production really depends on if he's getting to the free throw line. And for the sake of watching purposes, I hope he doesn't get to the free throw line a lot, because it's kind of ugly basketball when you got Embiid getting really 15 free throw attempts and whatnot. But all in all, the 10.5 rebounds, we can see that that is going to be one of the better bets that we are getting. I mean, before the last game against Toronto, 12, 14, 15, 13, like, he had just been consistently crushing that over. And the reason why it's so low is going to be the matchup with Miami, especially with Bam back. You know, I get that. Tobias Harris is going to be someone that kind of takes the hit with Batum and Melton back. He had himself a good game in the last two games, specifically the last game against Toronto. That's going to be a little bit more inconsistent with those two being back. So all in all, the two players that we do want to bet on are going to be Embiid and Embiid and Max. Looking at Miami, Jimmy Butler, I'm expecting him to play again. Christmas Day slate. If he can play, he's going to play. Now, for what it's worth, if he does sit, we're probably looking at Jaime Jaquez to continue to play well. He was someone that in the last game against Atlanta in a pace-up spot, I was telling you guys it's going to be a good bet. His points was at 14.5. Again, this was one that I couldn't tell you guys exactly what to do because the line wasn't out, but I'm like, if his line is by or at his average, we want to be crushing that over. And I ended up just going with his fantasy score a lot. But that was a situation in which we kind of knew what to expect. We knew it was going to be a good spot. If we get news that Jimmy Butler is out again, I'm not saying that we need to go in on Jaime Jaquez simply because it's not as good of a matchup. But all in all, just be on the lookout to see if his prop lines are kind of low. Tyler Hero is going to be the player that does benefit the most in this matchup if Butler's out. Even if Butler's active, I still think he's going to have a high usage rate. At the beginning of the season, it was actually Tyler Hero that was the more kind of star-like player between the two. But that's kind of Jimmy Butler. We've seen like Jimmy Butler during the regular season will kind of take a backseat at times. But all in all, Hero is going to be the player that probably does get the slightly better matchup. And so it's tough to say exactly what we should do. The prop bet that I probably would want to go on the most is going to be some sort of 3-ball one. I would imagine it's going to be at like 3, I would imagine. And so if it's at 3, I'd be fine betting the over. It's at 3.5, probably a little bit too thin there. Tough to say for sure, right? So now let's go ahead and get into the last game. We got the Mavericks versus the Suns. Again, guys, have to do it this way because I'm trying to get the coverage out to you guys so that you can be prepared when the prop lines come out. Dallas versus the Suns, 4.5 point spread, 235. Is going to be the over and under. So looking at right now, injury-wise, the biggest piece of injury news that we need for the Suns is actually going to be Yusuf Nurk. If he plays or sits, that does kind of help out Dallas. And I will say, if Nurk plays, I think we're going to be looking at him as a good asset in terms of prop betting because Dallas, bigs against Dallas is the thing, and especially if Lively's still out, I think we're going to be looking at that. But Kyrie's a game time decision again. I think he's been sitting out. I think everyone's kind of been sitting out so that they can play. So I'm kind of expecting Kyrie to play. Obviously, that does change the whole dynamic of the slate if he does play. And so right now, we're not getting any prop lines for this game as well. But looking at right now, like Luka, his production has been extremely consistent, has been doing better recently with Kyrie off the court. But all in all, we haven't seen his production take a massive bump or hit with Kyrie on the court. It's pretty much just a slight uptick. It's more or less the matchups. Like last game against the Spurs, that was an awesome matchup. The game against Portland, that was an awesome matchup. So it wasn't surprising that he was able to take advantage of those good matchups. Now, Kyrie, I think he's going to be back. Kyrie's going to be in a good spot. And my question is, will he have a minutes limit? That is a little bit of a concern. Only 13 minutes in that game against Portland. At the same time, why bring him back if he isn't healthy? I guess, again, I've been hammering home the Christmas Day narrative, but at the same time, no, play when you're healthy. It's a long season. No need to kind of risk it. At the same time, I think this game has a good chance to kind of be a shootout. If Kyrie plays, that'd be fun. If he does play though, guys, like we can't trust anyone else for Dallas. It's Luka or Kyrie. If Kyrie does sit, maybe a little bit of Dante Exum, who can have a good game here and there. The issue that we have is that everyone becomes a little bit more difficult to trust. Like Grant Williams, maybe a little bit there if Kyrie sits, but all in all, probably a little bit too thin for Phoenix. Let's get into it. So yeah, Yusuf Nurk is a play that I will like ton if he's active. Again, I do expect him to play. He sat out the last game due to personal reasons. We have no idea what that means. Obviously, hope all is best for him, but he has been someone that has been able to take advantage of good matchups. Portland, 13 rebounds. Washington, 17 rebounds. We continue on like Portland, Utah. He's been able to take advantage of good matchups, and he has been someone that has been getting more minutes recently. Like if we're banking on him getting 30 minutes in this game like he has been, and we get his line, like his rebounds line at 10, I'd be perfectly happy to bet the over. Heck, if it's at 11, I'm probably betting the over there. Okay, so like Yusuf Nurk against Dallas should be able to feast least rebounds wise. I don't think we need to do any other prop bet for him, but I feel pretty good about that. If he sits, Eubanks would probably get the start, but it'd probably be a mixture of all these other bigs getting minutes. And so all in all, probably don't want to touch anyone. Maybe KBD actually plays a little bit of center, but Kevin Durant obviously should have a good game in this game against Dallas. Again, I do think it's going to be a higher scoring game. With it being the Christmas Day slate, I do expect the studs to be the ones that are kind of popping up or popping off. But will it be Kevin Durant? Will it be Devin Booker? Personally, I would actually rather bet on Devin Booker to have a good game. He's the one that's consistently gained 20 plus shot attempts up. What was the interesting prop bet in the last game was Devin Booker for under 2.5 threes, which is one that I ended up placing. And I'm just actually shocked at the amount of threes he's actually been putting up this season. Not too many. And maybe when Beal's back, he'll start to put up more. But yeah, a lot of his production is just two ball. And the reason I say that, guys, is because, you know, with KD there, with Beal there, the spacing's a little bit better. But you also still have Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen, who are good spot up three ball shooters, but that's probably it. They're good spot up three ball shooters where they're not exactly creating their own shot. For what it's worth, Grayson Allen has been extremely consistent as a fantasy producer. He is someone that we could potentially get some good lines on, especially because look at the steals guy. Fantasy score we could be looking at because those steals have been great. But if Josh Okogie does play in this game, that's going to hurt Grayson Allen. That's also going to hurt Eric Gordon. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, so giving you guys a bet of the day. It's going to be on Underdog right now. Again, I do expect these props to get bumped. That's going to be unfortunate, but all in all, I'm giving this out to you because these are the best bets that we are getting. This is a pretty awesome correlated bet as well. We are getting 5 bets for the early game that have a 55 to 54% likelihood of hitting. That is awesome. And I'm not saying that these are all going to be available by the time you guys get here, but I do think that there is a good chance that some of these are available. And so by all means, place those bets if they are available once you are watching this video. And then just jumping back into it again, guys, like I don't mind Joel Embiid for over 11.5 rebounds. That is seemingly a good EV bet. If you guys like some of the prop bets for the Bucks and the Knicks game, and you want to place Embiid over 11.5 rebounds, I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that's a good move. And then as well, we could also do Maxey over 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think that that's a good line that you would be getting as well. That is going to be all for today's video. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. Guys, if you guys want access to the 95 Sports PrizePicks and Underdog cheat sheet, the lines are going to be updating. And when they start to update, jump on in there. It's available for just $10 a month. Very good deal. Thank you guys for watching. Merry Christmas. And as always, let's keep cashing.